I'm Dr. Tony Huge, and this is our health and longevity expert, Cary Nosler. We're talking about vitamin D, one of the most underrated, most important vitamins in the body for health, the immune system, and building muscle. Now, Coach Trevor is going to do another episode where he talks about how vitamin D is one of the missing ingredients when trying to develop new muscle cells, muscle hyperplasia, which is the goal of enhanced athlete, not to just inflate our muscle cells, make them bigger, but actually to split off the muscle cells and make new muscle cells. It's also so important to the immune system. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. They don't usually find this out until they go to like a special cancer clinic that says one of the reasons that you may have gotten cancer is because you've been deficient in vitamin D all of these years. A couple things about vitamin D that I've learned from Trevor that I want you to verify and give me more information about. Number one is vitamin D3, the one that's over the counter, is a precursor. So your body converts that into the actual vitamin D that your body uses. And when you go to like a clinic, a cancer clinic, they actually prescribe you the actual vitamin D that your body will actually use. The danger of that is you can actually overdose on the prescription vitamin D. The enhanced chemicals will be selling a vitamin D, the ultimate vitamin D, specifically made for immune system and for building new muscle cells. But until then, we've got vitamin D3, which is the over-the-counter version. And that one, from the way I understand it, people are usually not taking enough, and they're usually not taking it frequently enough because your body can only synthesize so much of that per hour or per half day. And so usually it needs to be taken more frequently and higher dosages. So
the body regulates it pretty tightly in terms of what's going on. And part of what you just mentioned in the muscle strength, that's one of the reasons older people who are deficient in D fall. It's not just that they get soft bones, it's that they've lost muscle. And it also contributes to fatty muscle. Fat in the muscle, the lack of vitamin D will cause
That's a real thing?
That's a real thing. They have,
I have to look into that.
They have fatty muscle, as they call it.
So that's what can make the muscle soft.
Yep.
I mean, that's the difference.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes we have such hard, dense muscles, sometimes muscle's kind of soft, even though it's not fat.
Right.
It's fat in the muscle cells. Okay.
Yeah, that's part of the problem right too. And as you've mentioned before in terms of hormones, vitamin D is really a hormone activity in the body. That's part of what's going on. And there's just like about every cell in the body has a receptor for vitamin D, and it's essential to the whole evolutionary process. And even when they go to California and they test young ladies, they're all deficient in vitamin D, or a high percentage is. So getting enough, and the old numbers were kind of crazy in terms of like 400 IUs was the recommendation. Now we know, but there's different groups advocating different amounts. And that gets kind of confusing. But what you want to look for is a range between 40 and 100 in terms of nanograms per
on your blood test
milliliter. Yes, on your blood test. You want to get between 40 and 100. And some docs will even take it up a little bit more than 100.
Do you think this is one of those things where, like testosterone, the doctor will look at your blood test results and go, oh, you're within the normal range, even though your levels are so low and you feel like crap, and the optimal range is much higher than the normal range? Is vitamin D something similar?
It's changing a little bit, but in the beginning, yes, they would say, oh, 25's okay. 20, 25, you're low, but that's all right. Now they know that's too low. Okay. So again, you got to get up to 40. But here's the problem again, unless you get tested. If you've got different body types, if you're overweight, if your BMI is such that you're an overweight person or you're overweight obese, you take the same thing that I'm taking, or that person does the same thing as I'm taking, they won't get the same amount. So when they did a big study, they found they needed at least 6,000 units a day for normal people who are regular weight or underweight, to get their levels up between 40 and 100. If you were overweight, it took at least 7,000 units a day. And if you were obese, they had to get them up to 8,000 units before they could get their levels up to where they want. And if you also happen to have dark skin, that's another negative in terms of how much vitamin D you can absorb. So the only way you know is to take a test, a simple little blood test, to see if the amount you're taking is enough to raise your level up to a physiologically healthy level.
Do you know if the levels fluctuate through the day? I mean, would you need more than one blood test result to have an accurate reading on what your average D levels?
Not since it's fat soluble.
They're fairly stable because it's a fat soluble vitamin.
Yeah.
As opposed to a water soluble vitamin, you take it, it's in and it's out. Hard to act.
Whether morning, night, evening doesn't make any difference with vitamin D. But you do have to get the test. If you don't get it, you're going to miss out on all the things that you mentioned: the immune function, the bones, the muscles, and strength, and everything that goes with it. You know, it's just too critical. And if you don't have what you need, the body then will take other things from other areas of the body, reserves that should be there if a problem develops later on down the road of life. But you've exhausted your supplies because you've been running on a deficient system.
Well, we've got a lot of insider information on vitamin D as far as bodybuilding, building muscle, anti-aging, and killing cancer from multiple different experts that work with Enhanced Athlete. And so thank you for your input. We're also going to get some more other expert input, and basically we're going to be a source of information for vitamin D because it's that important, and that's what we're all about in pioneering human evolution. Be swole, my friends of freedom, pioneers of human evolution.
Yeah, hundreds on my bed, texting with the bill. Roses in my wallet and I'm flexing it for real. Racks on racks on racks, I look like rookie of the year. Frontin' with the cash, it's getting moody over here. Hundreds on my bed, texting with the bill. Roses in my wallet and I'm flexing